Hello, everybody. This is Gary. It's 2:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States in Rochester, New York. Today is Sunday, September 26, 2021. And today I just wanted to talk about why I don't really speak to my family anymore. Um, the answer is very complicated. I was born into a very large Catholic family. Um, I had 9 living brothers and sisters. I had a sister who died, I believe, when she was an infant. Her name was Beverly. She's buried at my mother's grave. My mother died when I was 8 years old, mainly from alcoholism and mental illness. Um, my sister Patty committed suicide in 1996. She was the oldest of 4 sisters that I had that were all older than me. I'm the second youngest of 10 children. My relationship with my family has been pretty rocky throughout my whole life. There are times when I talk to my family and times I didn't talk to my family. And it seems right now I don't talk to my family very much at all. I don't talk to them at all, really. Um, the last conflict I had with my family involved my brother. He was talking to my then girlfriend at the time, trying to, for some odd reason, sabotage my relationship with her by talking to her behind my back. I'm not sure exactly what he said about me. But my girlfriend at the time, she finally admitted that he was talking to her and he said some negative things about me. Whether they were true or not, I'm not sure. I didn't give my brother a chance to explain himself. I simply called him up and told him and yelled at him, actually screamed at him, that I didn't appreciate him trying to sabotage my relationship with my girlfriend, who I'm still friends with, and basically hung up on him. I haven't talked to anyone in my family since then. Um, it's very, very complicated. It's not just that my brother was talking to my girlfriend behind my back. Um, my mental illness often makes me feel things and do things that aren't based on reality. Um, and so that complicates my relationship with my family. Sometimes it's easier for me to cope with my schizophrenia if I'm doing it without the involvement of my family. They do try to understand me as much as possible. They do put forth an effort, but then something like my brother going behind my back and talking to my girlfriend makes me not trust them. That part's not paranoia. My ex-girlfriend confirmed that she talked to my brother and was doing so behind my back. She finally admitted it a little while back. Um, what I didn't understand is why my brother would try to sabotage my relationship with her. Eventually, I did end my romantic relationship with her, but that had nothing to do with what my brother had told her about me. Whatever he told, and I'm not even sure what he said. I never asked for the specifics. Um, but I first noticed that I was not thinking clearly mentally around the age of 8. But my father was more or less against seeing a psychiatrist, so I never saw one as I was growing up. And literally on my 18th birthday, I told my father I was going to see a psychotherapist and they were going to put me on an antidepressant, and he no longer had any legal say in whether or not I saw a psychotherapist and a psychiatrist. Um, During my 18th and 19th year, I moved out of my father's house and went into Rochester Psychiatric Center, which was the state hospital in Rochester at the time. Since then, that building has closed down. It used to house about 1,000 patients. I spent 8 months there, mainly waiting for a group home, which I eventually got into. Um, so part of my not talking to my family has something to do with my father's opposition to my seeing a psychiatrist, and I literally had to wait till I was 18 to make that decision on my own. I was self-aware enough at the age of 8 to know something was wrong with me, and I wasn't thinking clearly. And it got progressively worse as I got older. And once I turned 18, I realized that I had gone off the deep end in many areas. I had made a lot of mental and physical mistakes in my life, and I wasn't thinking clearly. So I went to an outpatient clinic and started seeing a psychiatrist. They put me on an antidepressant. As it turns out, an antidepressant wasn't enough. My original diagnosis was just depression and anxiety, and that turned out to be grossly wrong on many levels. It was much more severe than just depression and anxiety that was affecting me. It became clear later on that I was thinking psychotically, that I was hallucinating, um, that I was paranoid, um, that there were a lot of problems. I was self-aware enough to separate myself from my family and get treatment. Um, my childhood was a violent one. I got in constant fights with my sister, physical fights. They got pretty brutal. Um, she was only about a year and a half older than me at the time. As I grew up in elementary school, I got beat up a lot. In high school, I got beat up a lot. Um, and my family kept saying that I had to fight my own battles, which is fair enough. But when you're fighting 10 children at the same time, that's not a fair assessment of me having to fight my own battles. That makes no sense. So I have a lot of resentment against my family for the violence I experienced when I was growing up. My father was not a violent man. He did not discipline me physically. Um, the violence in my family was mainly between me and my sister as we were growing up, and the violence I experienced in elementary and high school. Eventually, I got into the group home, went to college, and I have an associate's degree in liberal arts. I worked various jobs since then. The main one I did was as a home health aide. Um, but on and off, my family relationship's been very complicated. It's a very large family. I have no children myself, but most of my brothers and sisters have children, and their children have had children since then. So my family is very, very large, and it's hard to take it all in for me. Sometimes it's overwhelming for me to have to deal with all these different relatives that I have. So it's easier sometimes for me to not talk to them. Um, it's easier for me to cope if I focus on my own mental and physical health rather than dealing with the drama of my family. Um, I have a lot of nieces and nephews. I have great nieces and nephews because some of my nieces and nephews have gotten older, gotten married, had children. Um, I don't know them. I've never met any of them. I've met my nieces and nephews, but not their children. Um, and it's just easier for me to deal with things on my own than trying to deal with my family. Some of them have their own mental health issues, whether they admit it or not. Like I said, my sister, Patty, committed suicide in 1996. My mother was severely mentally ill and alcoholic. Um, I felt like when I was growing up that I was alone, even though I was surrounded by many different people. Um, so I have a lot of resentment against my family, whether it's justified or not. I do. It's there. I live by it. Um, I act on it in the sense that I don't talk to my brothers and sisters. I feel that I try to talk to my family sometimes, like when my father died. I reestablished contact with my family. My sister called me up and told me my father had died, that there was an inheritance that I would get, that I did get, and I spent all the money. Um, and then I had the run in with my brother, who was talking to my girlfriend behind my back. I was also angry at my girlfriend for not telling me sooner that she was talking to him. And I disconnected from her for a while because I was angry with her. But I reestablished contact with her. She lives in another city in New York State. I live in Rochester. We do keep regular contact, although we ended the romantic part of the relationship. Um, so I guess the reason I don't talk to my family is because I just have a lot of anger and resentment against them. I felt like I was growing up alone, physically, violently fighting a world that seemed like it wanted to destroy me. And that may have contributed to my later paranoia, which I still have. I'm paranoid about a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of situations. Sometimes I think I'm being followed. Um, and part of me blames my family for that. They didn't protect me. They didn't try to protect me. They blamed me for all the violence I experienced in elementary school and high school, that it was my fault. I didn't learn to fight my own battles. But again, how do you fight your own battles when you're fighting 10 different people at the same fucking time and you're only 12 years old? Um, I never really forgave my family for that. Um, always had resentment towards them for that. Probably always will. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in forgiveness necessarily. Um, so that's not part of it. I grew up Catholic, but I rejected religion several years ago. I reject the idea of God. Um, it doesn't mean I hate God secretly and then calling myself an atheist. God doesn't exist. You can't hate something that doesn't exist. Um, do I hate my family? No, I don't hate them, but I never really got along with them. I would go in and out of contact with them, and every time I try to get back in contact with them to give them another chance, and they would give me another chance, it just seems to fall apart for whatever reason. Um, they're just not very helpful to me in my mental health. Um, I try to concentrate on the friends that I have, the people that I care about. Um, my family really doesn't need me. They have each other. It's a very large family. It's a very large network of relatives that have interconnected connections to each other. They don't need any support from me, and I really don't need any support from them. Um, the support I need is my friends, my doctors, um, the people that I associate with every day. Um, I just have too much resentment against my family to try to cooperate with them. It just seems like they've always tried to sabotage me no matter what I try to do. Um, have I made mistakes that make it harder for me to get along with them? Sure, that's why I went to see a psychiatrist, because I've made plenty of mistakes in my life that aggravated my family and aggravated my relationship with them. Um, but they don't seem to want to let it go. I don't want to seem to let it go. And so it just seems easier not to talk to them at all. The last time I talked to my brother, when I screamed at him on the phone, it was like 2013, 2014, and it's already 2021. I haven't talked to anyone in my family since then. It's a complicated thing because we're talking about 9 brothers and sisters, their husbands and wives, their divorces and remarriages, their children and their children's children. It's all overwhelming. It's all very complicated. And I have enough of my own fucking problems and paranoia, anxiety, depression, hallucinations that I have to deal with without dealing with all my family's drama. They can deal with each other as they see fit. They're just going to have to do it without me being a part of it. It's a big network of relatives. It's complicated. and I really don't want to have to deal with any of it. Um, do I spend too much time alone? Yes, I do. That aggravates my paranoia. It aggravates my anxiety. It aggravates my hallucinations. Um, but it's been my experience that it doesn't help for me to have contact with my family. I have too much resentment towards them. I've never forgiven them. I probably never will. I don't see that as a problem. I think forgiveness is overrated. Um, I have to stand my ground and take care of myself, take my medication, see my psychiatrist, be as mentally healthy as possible, trying not to harm myself or others, which I don't do anymore. Um, I have responsibilities that I have to take care of. I'm glad that I never had children. I'm glad I never got married. I've seen my brothers and sisters struggle with their children and their children's children, and I don't need that hassle. I can barely take care of myself, let alone having children. Um, so basically, I don't talk to my family because they seem to sabotage me at every turn or try to sabotage me at every turn. And it's been that way since like I was 8 years old. I first remember becoming suicidal when I was 8 years old, and things just got progressively worse. By the time I was 18, I was really confused, psychotic, although that wasn't recognized at first. Um, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the support from my family that I needed. Um, has my family tried to help me out? Sure, they've tried to help me out financially. When I was in college, I needed $400 or I was going to have to withdraw from college. My father sent me $400. When he died, I did certainly take the inheritance of the money that he left me. And yes, I spent it. And then I had regular contact with my family. And then my brother, for some odd reason, decided to call my girlfriend at the time and try to sabotage my relationship. That's the part I don't understand. I never understood. So that's pretty much why I don't talk to my family. It's a large family, it's complicated, and I don't want to have to deal with the drama. I don't want to have to deal with people trying to sabotage me. I don't want to have to deal with people being dishonest towards me. And like I said, that part is not my paranoia. I talked to my ex girlfriend. She told me she talked to my brother. And she specifically gave me the name of which brother she was talking to. Um, my brother's older than me because I'm the second youngest of 10 children. I have a younger brother. Um, and it just seems like all the violence in my family, the violence that I committed, the violence that my family committed, the violence that I experienced in high school and elementary school, it just builds up too much resentment, too many bad memories. And so it's easier for me not to talk to my family. Am I perfect? No. A lot of what I did alienated my family from me. A lot of what they did or didn't do alienated me from them. And it's just easier for me not to talk to them. Like, comment, share, subscribe, press the notification bell for new videos. And if you want me to do a video on a specific topic, let me know.